Ah, the absolute bliss of shopping for toys. Okay, sure, I've made videos about how parents can sometimes struggle with this, but overall, it's enjoyable, well, especially if you're a kid. I mean, it's like, kid in a candy store, kid in a toy store, is the reason that expression lasts. Well, whether you're young or young at heart, the thing you're going to encounter the most when buying toys, or really any product, is, well, the price. And one of the questions that I get asked a lot in the comments section and on my website, spectorcreative.com, is how toy prices are set. How does a company decide that a 6-inch figure should be $20 or $25 or even $50? Well, there are a lot of factors that go into this, and the more corporate a company is, well, the more decisive it can be. Obviously, every industry has prices, whether you're dealing with consumer goods or food or you're paying for services like a haircut or someone to train you to play the banjo. You're going to look for the best price possible, but every company has to obviously make money off of these services or products they provide. It's how the economy works. Now, a lot of toy prices are based on planograms, shelf planning. I've done a few videos about this, so you can obviously, if you'd like to deep dive into planograms, plenty of videos on this channel about it, but essentially it's an organized way that product is put up on shelf. It's done both by price point, by size of the product, and by visual, really what the product looks like and where it's going to fit on the shelf to maximize sales. Now, building a planogram is an art form just as much as is a skill. Knowing exactly where to put the product and what price to put on, well, to sell that product for, are very much related. Now, there's also incremental space outside of the aisle, beyond a planogram, things like end caps, things like special displays, and price points tend to usually be more uniform on things like this, like everything on an end cap can be $20, for example. Now, I've done a video in the past about how price points drive toy design, the way toys are designed specifically to hit price points, like company says, make me a $5 toy, or a toy I can sell for $5. And usually, again, that's related to the planogram because less expensive product on top, more expensive on the bottom. So what you see on the very bottom of a toy shelf is usually things like the play set with basic figures at the very top, and maybe the mid-range are things like vehicles or deluxe figures or, two-packs, that kind of thing. And it really does flow like a water flow like that. And a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money is spent analyzing how customers purchase because all manufacturers, whatever the industry is, wants to provide great value for what you're paying for. But the whole process is actually a little backwards, and that's what I want to explain. It starts with an SRP and works towards that. Oh, what is an SRP? Obviously, you may have heard this term used a lot regarding retail. Sustainable rice platforms. So this is how toys, okay, I'm just kidding. SRP, it does stand for Sustainable Rice Platforms, but it also stands for Suggested Retail Price. You may have also heard the same concept as MSRP, which is just Manufacturer Suggested Retail Price. It is literally the exact same thing. Two different sayings or two different abbreviations that mean the same thing. All right, so SRP is what you're going to pay when you walk up to the cash register or wherever it is you're doing your actual purchase with money or credit cards or Apple Pay or, whatever it is. SRP derives from what's called target costing. So essentially, a company will figure out how much money it needs to make in profit in order to function, and then they will back into an SRP from that. So, as an example, Marvel Legends figures are, well, let's just say they're $20. I know they're above, they're like $22 now, but for a round number, let's just go with 20. Now, there's a difference between what a product costs and the company's final operating profit. That's what OP stands for. So this doesn't get heard that much as far as retail. OP is more about overhead costs, the cost to run an entire company. So it's not just the cost of the product that you're selling, but you have to take into account all of the sunk costs and the one-time costs. And this includes things like building tools to make plastic products. So tools are those giant metal molds that can cost up to $100,000 to create. This is a one-time cost. It doesn't hit your margin, it hits your operating profit. So as an example, Hasbro already had the tool for Gambit. All they had to do was tool up a new head for this re-release. So it was way less expensive from an operating profit standpoint to make this Gambit. Way less tooling. The tooling was already there. Operating profit is also affected by overhead costs like the costs of paying your rent for your building or employee health care. All toy companies have big corporate headquarters and, well, it has to house their employees. So that's kind of the difference between margin and profit. Margin is what you make on the product you're actually selling. Profit is only after you've subtracted your operating expenses. Again, salaries, healthcare, lawsuits, corporate offices, all of that. The gross margin, what's called the margin formula, it's basically net sales minus the cost of goods divided by net sales, and then you times it by 100 to get an actual percentage. You hear this term used a lot in companies. They'll say, what is your company's margin? This is the amount of money made off of the actual product, but it does not include the operating profit, which is all of those extra overhead costs. So margin targets are usually what companies are about, and these goals are set by the company, very similar how someone trying to raise money, for example, might have a fundraising goal. Well, a large company will have what's called a margin goal. So they'll say, to sell this product, you have to hit a target cost to generate a certain margin, 30% margin, 50% margin, etc. These are required by the companies for all product, as opposed to having separate margins sometimes categories have different margin requirements, but usually companies have an overall margin that everything has to hit. And once the product is costed out and it's sent to the overseas factory, and the factory reviews how much it will cost to make the product, they'll then report back to the manufacturer a price that may or may not match what the company is expecting. If it doesn't match it, and you're not able to hit your margin goal, your margin target, the company has to do something like cost reduction and remove parts of the product. Now, a good example for toy collecting would be Necron from the DCU Classics line. He was supposed to come with his signature weapon, the giant axe scythe, and we had to cost it out because the figure wound up costing more than was anticipated. So things have to be removed, and the easiest thing to remove is an accessory or paint operations, paint ops. So that's what helps companies stay on target. They refine the product during the process to ensure the cost will meet the margin requirement that the company has created. You want to have product that's going to be as accurate as possible. And that's what the cost reduction process phase is all about, is taking a product that you thought was going to reflect the price you wanted to sell it for. Now, the question is, why do companies do it this way? Why not just sell the product for as much as you need to sell it for to make the money? Well, there are, like most things in life, reasons. And there's really two major reasons for this. So the reason it's all done backwards and it's done from the SRP back is because of shareholders. So shareholders are the ones who fund the company, who pay for the company to run, and they require dividends to be paid out of profit. Basically, they require money from the profit to be paid for them. The other reason is big box stores have been, when they're sold product, they're told it's going to retail for this amount. So you can't suddenly turn around after you've sold it in and say, oh, well, it came back at a higher price. And we're not going to cost cut, we're just going to raise the SRP. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Once you've sold the product in, and this is before the product is finished, you have to keep that SRP promised to the retailer. And that's why characters, toys, action figures have to be cost reduced. It's all because margin targets are set by the company in order to ensure stockholders can get paid and to ensure retailers get the product at the price they were promised when the sale happened, which is usually a year and a half before the product actually hits shelf. I hope this video clarified how toy pricing and really all retail product works. Obviously, you can get a lot of business books that'll spell out more details, but this was kind of a bird's eye overview. If you like this video, please do share it. Let me know what other topics you'd like to see covered, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.